You will fall for someone, and some part of you will already know how it ends. Not because you're careless. Because you've been here before. 11:48 p.m. Her phone hasn't lit up in 4 hours. And some part of her, a part much older than tonight, is still waiting for it to. Someday, you'll meet someone, and from the very first moment, it will feel like you've known them for years. They'll look at you, and something in you will finally exhale. You'll think, finally, I found the right one. This isn't her story alone. It's a question Carl Jung spent much of his life circling, without ever answering it in a single sentence. Why do we sometimes find, in the very person who finally makes us feel safe, the exact shape of the thing that will hurt us most? We're not going to answer that yet. We're going to watch her walk through it. She is 31 now. But we begin 24 years earlier. She is 7. Rain taps steadily against the window, the kind that doesn't stop for anyone. In the kitchen behind her, she can hear the small, ordinary sounds of dinner being made without him. 2 plates set down instead of 3. A chair pushed in that won't be used tonight. Her mother doesn't say anything about the empty chair. She never does. The girl presses her forehead to the cold glass and watches the street. A pair of headlights turns the corner. She sits up. It's him, it's finally him, and then the car passes the driveway and keeps going. Someone else's father, going home to someone else's dinner. She settles back down. Waits for the next pair of headlights. The kitchen clock keeps ticking on the wall behind her, indifferent, marking each minute as if this one isn't any different from the last. Her father's car isn't in the driveway. She tells herself, he's probably just busy. 10 minutes. 30 minutes. An hour. 3 more cars pass. None of them are his. She falls asleep on the couch, still in her school clothes, one hand still resting against the cold window glass. In the morning, no one mentions it. Breakfast happens like any other day, cereal, a rushed goodbye, the radio playing something upbeat, as if the whole house has agreed, without ever discussing it, to leave last night exactly where it happened. She would spend years believing she'd left that night behind her. She hadn't. It had only gotten better at hiding, waiting, patiently, for the first door that felt familiar enough to walk through again. She's 22 now, and this is the first time we meet him, the first one. There will be others, later. They won't look like him. They won't sound like him. That's the part that will confuse her for years. He's charming in a way that feels less like performance and more like recognition. He remembered she took her coffee black, after she'd mentioned it exactly once, 3 weeks earlier, at a party neither of them had really wanted to be at. She tells her best friend, he just gets me. What she doesn't know yet, what almost no one knows in the moment it's happening, is that being gotten isn't the same as being known. He isn't seeing her. He's found, without either of them realizing it, the exact shape of the thing she's missing. And he's holding up a mirror to it. She'll spend 3 more years calling this chemistry. 6 months in, he starts disappearing. A day. Then 3. Then a week, with a 2-word apology waiting at the end of it, like a small gift. Sorry. Was busy. She reads it twice. Then a 3rd time, like the words might disappear if she looked away too soon. And her whole body softens, so fast it feels like joy. She thinks this is what love feels like. She won't understand, for another 9 years, that this wasn't relief arriving. It was a 7-year-old at a rain-streaked window, getting proof, one more time, that if you just wait long enough, they come back. Imagine, for a moment, sitting across from Carl Jung. Not lecturing. Just listening, the way he apparently once did with his patients, waiting far longer than felt comfortable before saying anything at all. He wouldn't ask her, "Why does he keep leaving?" He would ask something much harder, a question not for her, but for you. When did waiting first become proof of love, in your own life? Sit with that for a moment before we go on. A few years pass. That first him becomes someone else. Then, before she turns 27, someone else again. Different job. Different laugh. Different apartment she learns the layout of in the dark. By the third one, she starts to notice something that frightens her more than any single heartbreak did. They don't look alike. But the shape of loving them feels exactly the same. The same waiting. The same relief when they finally text back. The same quiet, humiliating gratitude when they choose, for one evening, to stay. She starts therapy, not because she's in crisis, but because a friend, gently, after the third breakup, says, "Have you noticed you keep telling me the same story with a different name in it?" In the small beige office, with the tissue box angled toward her like it already knows something she doesn't, she says the sentence she's never said out loud before. "I think I keep choosing the same person." Her therapist doesn't answer right away. "What happened?" she finally asks, "the last time someone didn't answer your message?" She starts to describe him, the third one, the most recent one. Then stops. Corrects herself. "Actually," she says slowly, "I think I'm describing my dad." Her therapist lets the silence sit there for a while before asking anything else. Insight doesn't end anything on its own. 2 weeks later, she'll text the third one again anyway, the one she just spent an hour describing as her father. She'll wait 4 hours for a reply that doesn't come. She'll sit on her own bathroom floor, the same way she did at 26, information be damned, hope still fully in charge. Understanding something and being finished with it, it turns out, are not the same thing. Not even close. Rain again. But this time it's not the window from childhood. It's a memory from somewhere in those years, her at 26, sitting on that same bathroom floor after another disappearing act, phone in her lap, refreshing a screen that says nothing new. She isn't checking it for information. She's checking it for hope. And hope, unlike information, doesn't need an answer to keep functioning. It only needs the possibility of one. She'll refresh the screen another 40 times before the sun comes up. 40 more times, nothing. What were you really waiting for, all those nights? Her therapist asks her, weeks later, when she finally describes this one out loud. She doesn't answer right away. "Hope, I think," she finally says. "Not him. I think I was just addicted to hope. He happened to be the one holding it that year." "And what do you think you miss now, when you think about him?" her therapist asks. She thinks about it for a long time. "Not him," she says eventually. "I think I miss the version of me that still believed he'd come back." She felt something. Even the grief felt like being alive. A year later, at 28, she meets someone new. We'll call him the different one, because he is. He texts back when he says he will. He doesn't disappear. He remembers things not because he's performing memory, but because he was actually listening. For a while, it feels almost too good to be real. And then, quietly, without meaning to, she starts pulling away. She can't explain it to her friends, or to her therapist, or to herself. He hasn't done anything wrong. There's no betrayal, no red flag, nothing to point a finger at. She just feels restless. A little bored, in a way that embarrasses her to admit out loud. "What do you feel?" her therapist asks, "when he's just there? Reliable. Nothing dramatic happening." She struggles for words. "Nothing," she finally admits. Or, I don't know if nothing is really nothing. I think safe might just feel like nothing to me. Like nothing bad is happening yet. Her therapist doesn't correct her. She just lets the sentence sit in the room a while. One night, months into it, the restlessness wins. She picks up her phone and starts typing. I don't think this is working. She looks at the sentence for a long time. She deletes it. Types it again, differently, gentler, an apology stitched into a goodbye. Deletes that too. Her thumb hovers over the message thread, the way her hand once hovered over a different phone, on a different night, waiting for something to change on the screen. Nothing changes on the screen. Because this time, she's the one holding all the power in the exchange, and some part of her doesn't quite know what to do with that. She sets the phone face down on the nightstand. She doesn't send anything. She turns off the light and lies there a long time before she falls asleep. In the morning, the unsent message is still just a draft, sitting quietly in a folder she never opens again. Imagine Jung across from you again, in this exact moment. This time, he doesn't ask anything. He just watches, the way he apparently often did with patience, letting a silence stretch long enough that people started finishing their own sentences, just to fill it. See if you can finish this one yourself, what it would cost you, to let something ordinary finally be enough. She doesn't leave him. It isn't dramatic. There's no single scene where everything resolves. It's smaller than that, it's 100 nights of noticing the old alarm go off and asking, before she acts on it, is this a spark, or is this a scar? And more than a few nights where she doesn't ask at all, and reaches for her phone anyway, out of habit, before catching herself halfway through unlocking it. What do you think closure actually is? Her therapist asks her once, near the end of their work together. She doesn't have an answer at first. Maybe it's not another conversation with someone who hurt you, she says slowly, working it out as she speaks. Maybe it's just the day your body finally stops waiting for one. Her therapist doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. One evening, months later, her old phone habit returns for a moment, the reflex to check, to refresh, to wait. But there's no one to wait for anymore. Not in the old way. Imagine Jung one last time, not asking you anything now, just leaving you with a single line, the way he might have written it in a private notebook. She did not stop loving. She stopped mistaking the ache of waiting for the presence of love. That was the whole difference. Rain again. The third time. Years later. It's raining outside her apartment window, the same kind of rain, if you looked closely, as the one from the very beginning. But she isn't standing at the window this time. She isn't waiting for headlights that don't come. Her phone is on the counter. It lights up. An old name. Someone from before. A message that, not so long ago, would have sent her heart into that old, familiar sprint. She looks at it. She smiles, not the smile of hope, but the smile of someone recognizing an old friend from a life she doesn't live in anymore. She turns the phone face down. She walks into the kitchen. Something smells faintly burned. Someone laughs. She laughs too. Someday, you'll meet someone again. And maybe, for a moment, your heart will do the old, familiar thing. You won't know right away whether it's real, or just recognition wearing a new face. No one ever knows right away. But you'll be carrying something you didn't have before. Not experience. Not suspicion. Awareness, that not every feeling of familiarity is fate. Sometimes it's just an old wound, trying on the coat of love. And the moment you're finally still enough to notice that is the moment the loop begins to break. Not because the world changed. Not because harmful people disappeared from it, but because, someday, when you meet someone again, the person who has changed won't be them. It will be the one doing the choosing. You. That is how every cycle ends. Not when different people appear, but when a different self does.